Mother gives birth on U.S. soil. Will her baby be granted citizenship? Thousands of Venezuelans, once protected by TPS, now may face deportation. And are legal rights unraveling at the southern border, one policy at a time, or are we simply following U.S. laws without turning a blind eye? I'm Yami Virgin for Sinclair Broadcasting in San Antonio, Texas. For years, I've stood at the heart of the southern border, documenting the human cost of Americans' immigration battles. This is a new edition of Immigration Crisis, the fight for the southern border. Hello, friends. Thanks for joining us again. In today's podcast, we examine two flashpoints colliding in courtrooms and communities: the rising debate over birthright citizenship and the elimination of temporary protective status, or TPS, for Venezuelans under the Trump administration. Immigration attorney Héctor Quiroga, licensed not only in Texas, but also in Washington and Nevada, joins us to explain what these legal shifts mean for families caught in the crosshairs. This is not just about laws, it's also about lives. Héctor, speak to us about this whole issue that's going on right now with the birthrights. And you deal with this, with immigration a lot. So for you, explain a little bit about what is going on for people that don't understand.
This is, we have a pretty important shift on what the court is really looking at. It started as a birthright citizenship. Do you have the right to be a citizen just by the fact that you were born in U.S. soil? That's kind of the basis of this. And the government is attempting to limit that right by simply saying, look, if you are here with parents who are undocumented, a parent is undocumented, even though you were born in United States soil, you may not be a United States citizen. And that was quickly blocked and enjoined. So what the court did is it issued an injunction nationwide, which is being the standard for many years, over 200 years, where this is happening. So the challenge by the administration has to do with that specific power. Does a district court, federal district court, has the power to enjoin the government all over the nation over one case. And it went to oral argument this week. The government and the United States solicitor argued that the government, as Congress was set it up, it was balance of powers, but it does not give the power to an individual judge to block the entire law. It can only has jurisdiction over the people who sued. So the state, the plaintiffs were the states, or the individuals who sued, that would be the jurisdiction. And that's how they want to keep it, not nationwide. Now, this creates a source of issues, and that is, and the court asking questions, the justices, somewhat of like, but wait a minute. Number one, if law is clearly unconstitutional and illegal, for example, let's say slavery, do we allow it to continue to move forward and only apply it to those individuals who sued? Or do we just know that it's unconstitutional and we just halt it all over the country? So you got those two bases. And that was the debate. And really, what is going to be decided, we think at the end of June, we're probably going to get the decision. And we think that this has to do more with, can a judge stop the administration, the executive, all over the country with this? And that's really what this turned into, more than actually the right of birth and having citizenship because you are in U.S. soil.
For those, and which is amazing to me, there's a lot of people that don't really know the amendments, don't really know a whole lot about the Constitution. Mm-hmm. What was the reason that was written and spelled out in the Constitution?
Right. So it all initiated with a simple sentence and a few words, right? So through the 14th Amendment and other very critical articles, it talks about a person born in the United States, right, is a citizen of the United States and a resident of the jurisdiction thereof. So if you are born in the state of Kansas, you are a resident of the state of Kansas, and you are also a citizen of the United States. Now, this in jurisdiction thereof the jurisdictional challenge, we call it, is important because there are certain individuals that come to the United States that are not subject to our laws and our jurisdiction. And we're talking about diplomats in this case. If the Crown comes in, if the Vatican comes in, if certain individuals come and are here in the United States, if they were to commit a crime, they would be subject to the crimes of their country. We would have to have them, and they're subject to jurisdiction. So that's why this jurisdiction piece was set in back on the day. So now it is said that what the government was arguing is that really this means that jurisdiction is important, and if the person is here undocumented, then there was no jurisdiction over them. This is kind of the argument, and that's quickly challenged simply because it wasn't meant. They're not diplomats. They're not coming here in a diplomat visa. They're subject very much to our laws. And it's kind of an inconsistent statement, really. Are we saying then that that we have no jurisdiction over them and they're not subject to our laws? Then that opens all sorts of bigger issues for the administration. But that's kind of what we got this case to the Supreme Court.
So, and I have lived overseas. My dad was in the military. Germany is one of those countries that, does not have immediate birthright citizenship. So for the people that say, why do we have to do this when other countries don't do it? What would you say to them?
Yeah, there is a division in countries on how they give citizenship to their people. It could be family or blood related. It could be by birth. It could be derived in some other ways through historical movements and migration patterns and wars and things that have happened. But as the framers set it out, this is the rights that to overthrow the crown. We gave it to them. Partly was precisely because it's a country that was built by pilgrims, and as when John Smith got down from the Susan Constant and started setting up, it was like they were popular. They were bringing individuals into the country, so they needed to get citizenship to their families and things as they were coming here. So it's very much in the fabric of the American, what it means to be an American, to be able to come and build something great, just very much like the pioneers and what we're talking about, Plymouth Rock and those places in Virginia and other places where first Americans came.
If we understand it correct, a lot of this was also coming from the belief that people, especially pregnant women, were coming over with anchor babies. Can you explain a little bit about that and how that would change? The numbers have gone down at the border significantly. So can you talk about that?
So we got a couple of issues. One is the issue of birth tourism, right? And it's like basically somebody who is about to give birth will cross the border or will fly into the country and give birth here, and then by definition that child will have citizenship. And I think that that could definitely be somewhat abusive, and people can frown upon this. However, the law is pretty black and white. I mean, the person is born, is a citizen of the country, and it is in fact a resident of the state that the child was born in. Now, whether or not there's abuse, there's a bigger question here, and that has to do with, well, define that abuse. Are we talking about somebody who got a visa? And so, in terms of this, when somebody comes saying a tourist visa, and we call those B1, B2 visas, uh, medical reasons is in fact a reason to come to the United States. You can disclose that. You can say, listen, I am going to a high professional, advanced medical. I have a big issue with my pregnancy, and only a doctor at Mayo Clinic could see this, and they might be able to deliver the baby. It's being disclosed up front. They're paying their way all the way in, and so that's completely legitimate. I think it has more to do with individuals who got a visa under different pretenses just to do that. And I think that's kind of, but we can deal with that with different laws and a little bit more restriction on how you get a visa and the reason you get a visa, not necessarily divesting a group of people of their citizenship rights like that.
Well, now that I have you here, I'm also going to ask you about, the new change with the protections for the about 350,000 plus Venezuelans. What actually was said this week with that?
Well, we have the Supreme Court analyzing whether or not the government could, the executive could, in fact, divest this type of protections. And I think the issues are whether or not they had the power. I think we always know that just like administration, the prior administration could say these many individuals or individuals from this country need a temporary protected status, they could, in fact, end it. I think it had a lot to do with the manner on which something is ended. As we know, we like to call about due process, and we talk about this about being a constitutional right. Well, due process is precisely just a procedure. Did it follow the procedure? And the executive must give certain disclaimers. It must give some time for comment. And so did the administration skip those procedures, or did it actually follow the rules? And the court said, look, not all rules may not necessarily be completely followed, but the essence is there was a procedure that was followed, and they do have the power to do it. Very different from, say, a law that is set up by Congress, like citizenship, right? You can't really, in an executive order, take citizenship away. You have to go through Congress. You have to advance a bill. It takes a lot other more difficult procedures to advance than just simply just by the stroke of a pen divest these rights.
The protections that were stripped were TPS protections, correct?
Correct.
So what happens to the people that are here now? What are their options?
So this opens all sorts of legal and interesting questions, right? Now, first of all, if you enter and you had TPS, we believe that you could have been admitted into the United States. You went through a process, you submitted an application, it was approved. So were you admitted or were you not admitted? Is it reverting back to you had it and now you cannot renew it? The people that have those work permits, they're good for a period of time. Now, does it end in this moment or not? And this is not something that there is a lot of clarity on right now. We're trying to figure out exactly this. And I think more litigation is going to come forward to say, well, you might have divested the program, but they went through a program and they came here through the front door. They knock on the door. They should at least be treated under that section of the Immigration and Naturalization Act.
So really, there would be no recourse. The people that have that piece of paper doesn't mean anything at all.
At this moment, well, I think it means something. I mean, at least immigration lawyers were definitely arguing. It means that you had an inspection and you were allowed in, and that sets you up in a different pool compared to somebody who didn't have an inspection whatsoever and just kind of came in, say, through the border and was not even inspected, right? So, but yeah, it's not very good, right? It just kind of leaves you back to, do the best you can. Well, that is not definitely a standard that that none of us would want to be.
Thanks again for joining us for another edition of Immigration Crisis, the fight for the southern border in San Antonio, Texas. I'm Yami Virgin for Sinclair Broadcasting, where we continue to be the eyes and ears of the southern border. Until next time.